maybe we jump then to the meat of this episode. I think we can spend a lot of time here depending on what direction we want to go with all of this, but Corey Pronman got his prospect pool rankings out. Do we want to like talk holistically just about the teams and where they fell, like teams that you thought were too high, too low? Do we want to really just focus on the Wild specifically? Where do you want to take this segment?
You can just do the Wild, honestly. I didn't even really. I kind of just like went through a couple of teams I was interested in reading about. I didn't really have any like crazy reactions to like where teams were slotted in. Didn't surprise me the Wild.
Being thrilled that the Bruins weren't bottom 8.
I was like, yeah, is there like I was like, oh my god, it doesn't start with like the number, the rank doesn't start with a 3. This is amazing. This is the best. Like it's like this is the best day of my life, personally.
Do you agree with the top end of his rankings? I know you at least saw like where all the teams fell. Like, do you think the top 3 to 5 make sense, or do you have any gripes there before we get into the Wild?
Let me pull it up. What was it? So it was like Sharks, Blackhawks, Mammoth, Ducks, Canadians. Who was it? Was it Kraken? You know was that after that?
We have to. We'll actually save them for our Book of Mammoth segment, but we have to talk about the Mammoth being so high in this because that's so freaking cool. But
it's the best.
But I mean, anything that stands out there is like weird, or you just disagree, even if it's in the top 5, like where some of the teams are slotted.
No, not really. Honestly, like when I list the number of players the Canadians drafted and like some of the guys they've gotten just like by way of other teams fucking up. Like, they have some of my favorite goddamn prospects in the fucking world, specifically Demidov, literally. But I don't even know if we can even consider him a prospect anymore because he's clearly going to be a full-time NHL guy when the season starts.
But playoffs. They're going by the same rules as us. Actually, I think Pronman goes by, like, even more basic standards of, like, 22 and under. But even, like, guys like your boy Cam and Chris Peters, they just did their, like, they talked about the EP's like top whatever prospects, and prospect was just, are you called or eligible? And their number 1 is demigod. So,
right. Yeah, no. So, I mean, they've just drafted some absolutely, and guys that aren't far away from being in the NHL already. Like some of the guys they just drafted the past 2-3 years, which is always like a luxury, obviously. And like they obviously make the playoffs this year. Lane Hudson just absolutely pops. Like Slavkovsky's now like
he wasn't even good enough to make it to the U.S. camp, dude.
That's true. He stinks. Obviously, Demidov, Slavkovsky is now the player that like who's at least tracking towards being the player that they thought they were drafting at first overall. It's just like they just have so many guys that are going to be slot all over their lineup in the next couple of years, and they're just going to be a fucking powerhouse. So that doesn't surprise me. The Ducks went from drafting just like the super high end like defenseman guys. Now the past few years they've just like kind of hit on every kind of like player type, like every mold of player that you can ask for. They've went out and got. Like when we first started this, we would talk about like the Minnesota Wild's prospect pool just being super diverse in terms of like. Since Judd Brad came in, you've like drafted super high end guys. You've got like guys that are, I don't know, like shooters, 2-way forwards, like offensive defensemen, defensive. Like they just went and drafted pretty much every kind of prospect you can. And that's like the Ducks have started doing that over the last few years. So it doesn't surprise that they were as high as they were. And I mean, the Mammoth have just been hitting home runs the past 2-3 years. The organization, I guess. I can't say the Mammoth specifically.
Yeah, it is interesting though for the Ducks. Because you're right, like they have a diverse pool as far as like skill sets are concerned. They've kind of started to go the Coyotes hockey club Mammoth path of I want a big boy.
I think like pretty much the whole league has started to do that now too, with the exception of a handful of teams. And I mean, I'm more so just like still. They're like when I went back the other day and just like looked through this past draft again. It is stunning. Like it is legitimately unbelievable how like I know they're not actually lazy or whatever, but the fucking main takeaway is like these motherfuckers watch the playoffs. Are they mad because like all these good teams are like trading away all their prospects? Like, you know what? Fuck it. Just go out and find the biggest guy. I don't care. Like, just go draft big boys. Like, it's insane. Some of the kids that didn't get drafted versus some of the kids that went like in the fucking 4th round, obviously because they're 6'6". It's like this is insane. So like, I think it's just gonna keep happening too. Like, I don't see a world where this like doesn't like this isn't the trend. This might be a hard year for them to do that, but we'll see.
It is interesting too. I wonder, just because like our running bit, of course, is that Vegas will never keep a prospect, right?
Yeah.
How often do you think they're looking at a player and instead of saying like, how good do we think this player will be? Are they saying, how good do we think everyone else thinks they are? Like, it's a weird thing to say, but like, is it really like, yeah, we don't care what their trajectory is. What does everyone else think? Let's get that guy because they're going to be tradable. Like,
yeah, I mean, at this point, it was a real bold move to go out and sign Trevor Connolly. It's like, you better hope he's ready to fucking keep impressing guys. Because obviously, you're going to trade him. So,
and he sure isn't.
I didn't look. I mean, the kid's fucking as far as talent goes, it's just a
insanely talented, but he had a tough year.
Yeah, he didn't have like he didn't pop this past year at Providence. So, I mean, we'll see. I honestly hope he could fucking just not get traded. That'd be great. I want to see one of these fucking prospects get drafted by them and actually just keep playing there. It's just that, or actually, you know what? It's a good bit. Yeah, no, it's a good bit.
It's way funnier if no one does, because once one does, the bit's kind of killed.
Like, I just want the fucking, like, them to take the kid, they draft whoever, 20 something, and then the fucking camera goes to their draft table, and they're like, nah, who cares? They have no head scout. they're just using elite prospects. Like, I don't know, fucking next best available from their list. Don't care. Like, we're gonna trade this kid.
What is the Judd'z Budz ranking? Let's see.
They would never. This is the worst podcast in the world. So they would never even consider. Everything I say is wrong, anyways. You never hit on anything.
I was with you until that last part. You've been pretty correct on a lot of things, but. Have you seen some of the stuff for the UNC game?
No.
Did you see the Air Jordan logo?
Oh God, no, that's pretty good though. I like that. That's good stuff.
So I'll just describe it. It's a guy with a cutoff sleeve hoodie that is holding a girl up in the air with his feet, and she's like doing like a spread pose kind of thing. Like it's like yoga.
That's bananas, dude. It is. I mean, the whole thing is crazy. Like, you know what?
Good. I'll be way more excited about that engagement than Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
Oh God, I can't even talk about that just because the reactions have been not from like the people that love. Well, those have been annoying, but like how it's turned, as everything turns into the most annoying conversation on the internet. Like this one is particularly annoying. More annoying than most of the things that somehow get turned into like I don't know how some of this stuff just turns into politics. Like, it's crazy. Like, how the fuck how did you do that? Like, how did you make this a thing? That's the most annoying shit in the world. Although I did like the person that was just like, it's gonna be weird to see Swift on the back of that guy's jersey next year. That's weird. I was like, that's good. I like that.
I'm definitely in the same space as him.
I'm like, that's a funny, harmless, not annoying tweet. That's good. That's good stuff. That's fine.
Also, could you
could I see it? Yeah.
No. I'm saying it is it is very much a beta move, but if he was like, fuck it, I genuinely don't care, this would be funny, and leans into it and does take her name, I think that's incredible.
I might like him. Funny. I might start liking Travis Kelce if he were to do that. I'd be like, that's a fucking good bit. We like that. That's funny. Anyways, back to the prospect stuff.
That's right. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, just because it also relates, just again, like what we saw this year as far as drafting for size. But like, we're going to talk about the Mammoth later. But like, they're drafting, they've went out and drafted some big boys, and like you had mentioned, Anaheim's gone down that that route too. I think the big difference with like Anaheim specifically and the Mammoth is like, yeah, they went out and they got guys with size, but I mean, you look at like Leo Carlson's legit fucking 6'3" potential future superstar. Like Mason McTavish is big. He's like 6'1". So, I mean, I think over 6 foot, does that count, I guess? But again, when he got drafted, it was like, this kid is going to be a future star. Beckett Sedeke is the one that's like, he was a rapid riser. I think pretty much there are a lot of teams that probably would have taken him inside the top 5, 6, 7 if they could have.
Maybe
but
not
like
3.
Roger McQueen, we've talked about him. If not for his health, like he would have gone earlier than he went. And would he go 10? That's another fucking. It's like the big players that they've got and went out and drafted. I think usually the guys that are big and they get drafted super high in the draft. That's a different. That's like it's just so different than the guys that are going like in the 3rd round. That you're like you should be able to get that guy in round 7, but you saw 6'5" and we're like, select, click, shit, whoops, they did it for real.
They actually have the draft list and you can sort, and they just sort by height.
Yeah, actually, Adam Banach was about to go to someone in the 2nd round, and they just like accidentally said that they just saw 6'5" on a sheet. They're like I don't know, pick a team. Anaheim Ducks, sure. We were just talking about them. Select.
I want
whoever.
6'5" or 5'6".
And they're like, fuck. I meant to say Banach, but it just the words that came out of my mouth. I just saw a 6'6" kid. I was like, that him.
What if someone went up and they were like, "We'll take the 6'6" guy."
Yeah, well, that's also true too, Cole, because McQueen, all the Disneyland content that they had, they actually drafted him 8 months ago, and they were like, "We know this is going to work out, so we're going to film this content this whole year." He was never actually hurt.
Injuring him.
He missed. No, he wasn't hurt. He actually just missed all those games because he was out. He was busy filming content with the Anaheim Ducks at Disneyland for fucking 6 months straight. So he missed all those games.
We're gonna take you regardless. Would you rather play games? Or do you just want to go hang out at Disneyland for about a month?
Yeah, he played 8 games at the beginning of the year. And the Ducks were like, "We've seen all we needed to see.
This is fair.
We're gonna kidnap this kid now and take him to Disney." They go to jail.
Aren't you supposed to go to Disney after you win a championship?
Well, and
again, hang on though. If there's a team that can swing that, it's the Ducks, because Getzlaf famously is the guy that everyone parades around as the guy that touched the cup before winning it and then still won it. So
fair. Every time
can pull it off.
Like maybe I don't actually do this, but lately, every time I think about or hear the name Ryan Getzlaf, the first thing I think about is his homemade chicken coop that he made during COVID. I just don't know why. Just like the first video that I saw of him and his boy. Yeah, dude, it was the funniest.
Wasn't that the Sergachev bit?
What?
Wasn't that Sergachev?
No, Getzlaf literally built a fucking chicken coop like during COVID. And like the first 3 fucking radio hits that he did with like back when they still had was it Sportsnet 590, the fan was like the daily show they used to do. Merrick used to host it all the time. But it was like the first 3 radio hits, like they didn't even talk about hockey at all, obviously, because it was COVID. But it was like 15 minutes of them talking about chicken coops. It was just like, yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know. I just pretty much woke up one day. I was like, that's why I can just go build a chicken coop. There's a video of him with his sons, like with eggs, walking around. It was gold. So that's what I think about every time I hear his name now. And that's all I have to say about Ryan Getzlaf and the chicken coops until I think about it again.
Oh, is that all? Okay.
No.
Yeah. Well, let's talk Minnesota Wild then. Lowest. Highest, I don't know what to do with lists. Is 14 lower or higher than they've been before? How do you say that?
This is the lowest he's ranked them. The lowest ranking of we've seen. No, it's high rank is like 1.
That's
it's
what
like
I
golf.
would say too,
it's like a golf thing, you know. It's
similar
to the golf score.
Okay, all right. So this is the lowest that the Wild have been ranked in quite some time, and that's a good thing. It means that guys are graduating from this list and whatever. I still maybe thought they'd be a little higher than this. Like, how did you feel about them coming in at 14 among their peers?
Yeah, I thought maybe they would be closer to the 10, but I mean, even last year, I think
10 is kind of the range I thought they'd be.
I mean, like last year though, what were they, like 8? I think Pronman had them. I think he had them 7, 8, 9, maybe.
Do him and Wheeler do separate lists?
Yeah, I think they did say. I can't remember though.
Oh, because they were definitely like a top 5 pool, I thought, but maybe that was Wheeler.
Yeah, maybe. I can't remember, but I mean, I wasn't surprised because yeah, like obviously a lot of the kids that were considered prospects like over the last few years have graduated into full-time NHL guys, which again positive. I do think also like there have been some that have just soured. Like I mean, we'll talk about Wallstedt a little bit. But I mean, when you think about like when we first started this show, the big thing was like how many young promising defensemen they had. I mean, they've traded David Hunt. They've like they didn't even sign Ryan O'Rourke. They didn't even give him his QO this year. Like there have been guys that have just like, and part of it was just how many there were and just never had the runway. Part of it was just like the Wild refusing to like have any of these young guys really get a solid look long term. And I mean, this is where I think the failure to bolster that Iowa lineup, I think really did some like damage to some of these guys, like just stock as prospects. So I do think like it has weakened for both reasons. Again, the high end guys are here and playing.
Yeah.
But also there have been guys that have just like not panned out and have literally already moved on, or the Wild have moved them on themselves.
And this is tough because we're not going to go player by player and assess this right now, but do you see that as just being a speed bump and like hurts their stock today? Or do you think that the bad Iowa teams that they've fielded the last couple of years have done long-term damage to the prospect pool?
Not though as a whole, but I mean, there are definitely guys who I think like outside of Iowa probably would have like I still believe even this year, like I am still a fan of Ryan O'Rourke. I don't know if anyone actually signed him, but it doesn't sound like last time I checked, I don't think he was signed by anyone when they didn't give him that QO. I would be at this point, I would be surprised if he did become a full-time NHL player. I still like Ryan O'Rourke. Like I think he was a good defenseman. I think just the whole system in Iowa fucked a player like him up. Like as far as any other team, like looking at that and like having any still like positive thoughts about the player or whatever. But I do think that there have been a few guys that it's just damaged long term. Like it just has. Because I mean that team was such a fucking shit show the last couple. It's unbelievable how they ignored the Iowa problem the past few years. Because like especially with the players that they drafted who looked really promising, like potential like impact NHL guys, and like it went from being you had 0 young guys to like a few, and then you add in like literal nut job, like 38-year-old ex-NHL enforcers. Like you had like 4 of them on the same team. Like, what are we doing? Look what this is. It's like Adam Beckman was playing with like Cody McLeod and I forget the guy's name. But it was just like, yeah, we want to give Becky some space out there. Like that's all. He's not going to get the fucking puck. He's just like every time he's out there, you guys are just punching people in the face. Like this is insane. And then they had like this past 2 years, they've had all youth, especially on the back end. So there at no point was like a positive environment. Like and again, we'll talk about this at the same time when we talk about Wallstedt too. Same thing. Like it was like just a shitty place for like defensemen and goaltenders to develop as a whole. But I don't know. Yeah, Brandon Baddock, that was the one I was thinking of. That guy is so. Remember he punched the ref? That was fun. His NHL preseason game. He had one look at a preseason game and just punched the ref in the face on accident and never sniffed the preseason. He's still playing though. He's still fighting people in the A.
Hey, good for him. So do we want to run down quick the full list, or do we want to go player by player, or are we going to use this time mostly to talk about the risers, fallers, surprises? Like,
well, yeah, let's just rattle off the list real quick, and then there's only like a couple that we'll probably spend any like meaningful time on anyways.
This will shock most people that listen to this show, but number 1 on the list is buium. Again, super shocking, but not at all shocking. Number 2, Danila Yurov, who is listed on here as a right wing. That's notable. Number 3, left wing Liam Ogren. Number 4, one that we're going to probably spend a decent amount of time talking about, Charlie Stramel. Number 5, defenseman David Jiricek. It is so fun reading his name with all the proper accents on the letters. Number 6, defenseman Carson Lambos. Number 7, right wing Ryder Ritchie, formerly of the CHL, now going to BU. Goddamn you, Z. Number 8, another guy that we'll probably spend a decent chunk of time talking about, Jesper Wallstedt. Number 9, another one that I feel like we probably need to spend some time on because I feel like a lot of fans are probably lost on like what happened last year. Like, where does this prospect actually sit? Rasmus Kumpalainen. Number 10, defenseman Justin Kipke, just drafted this year. And we'll get into the has a chance to play guys later, but that's his rankings for his top 10 guys in the Minnesota Wild pool. So we'll get to omissions later. My question is, what stands out in this list as far as guys that you think should have been higher or lower among this top 10 list?
Well, I mean, like, again, we can just start with the elephant in the room. The Jesper Wallstedt one was the big one, obviously. I mean, again, still like ranked or whatever, and in his top 10. But it is interesting to see. It's less the rankings for me. It's just like when you read like his breakdown, that's where it gets interesting. Like, and if people want to go and listen to the podcast where they talked about it too.
Yeah.
And
it was interesting. Be recording with him tomorrow, or as people are listening to this today, episode will drop next week for Fellowship of the Rink. This week is Alec Lewis to preview Vikings because season opener. Let's fucking go. But yes, go back and listen to their show because some of the context he provides on these players is actually very helpful. Whether you agree or disagree, it at least helps you understand like why he put a player in a certain spot. Do you agree with not necessarily the ranking, but the assessment of where Jesper Wallstedt's at?
I'd probably say, again, like, yes, with an asterisk. Like, this was the first year that was a legitimate disaster for Jesper Wallstedt. A lot of it, yeah, sure, it had to do with the fact that, I mean, he had 3 different fucking injuries this year. The way the year started with him potentially, like, actually, well, just being specifically told, yeah, we're going to have a 3-goalie rotation in the NHL. We'll send you back down to Iowa every once in a while, which is, again, the fact that was the plan is legitimately fucking insane. And on Iowa, it was, again, it's just such a shit show. So it was just a recipe for disaster. But at the same time, too, like, even when he was healthy, when he was down there, like, he just had a really fucking bad year and did not look the same whatsoever. And when and like the big thing is when you listen to the podcast I understand, or I agree with the assessment as far as like how you, as a third party without a ton of context, I guess, would evaluate it. It's like,
yeah,
this is a kid. He's not like the biggest goalie in the world. He's never been looked at as the most like athletic, quick, whatever. He's a super smart goaltender. That's like his value just comes from hockey IQ and positioning and everything. And when you have such a bad year like this year that he had, like the year that he had this year in Iowa, like usually you can look at even like outside of goaltenders too, but it's like, all right, well, we have the foundation that he's like a super athlete, or he's got the size, he's got whatever. If it's like you can't really use that, then it's tough to just like put a ton of confidence in a player. It's like, well, we hope, like literally it's like, well, we hope he's closer to what he was when we drafted him 4 or 5 years ago than this past year. Again, I am a Jesper Wallstedt believer. It is tough that he had the single worst possible season he could have, and now he's going to be in the NHL on a one-way contract immediately.
I actually think it's weird.
It might work out. Yeah, I was going to say it might work out for him. He's just going to be obviously around better players in a better environment than he was in Iowa. Again, it was like this was the first year where it was just like, what the fuck was that? And again, some of it was out of his control, but even when he was healthy, like he just was bad.
Yeah, and it is important to point out, like everything that could have gone wrong did. And this is still a very young goaltender, but it was interesting to me because I can watch forwards and defensemen and I can give an honest assessment. Goalies are a lot harder for me, right? But what I always understood is what you said. Like, it wasn't the athleticism, it was the IQ. And when Pronman comes out and says, like, even when he was in and healthy, like, he was not tracking pucks, he was not reading plays. That is concerning because that's his calling card. And we always say, right? Like, you look at these prospects and it's like, hey, they're super skilled. They've got to learn the speed of the game and they've got to have that knowledge. And I've always ragged on a guy like Mikhail Granlund. He came in and was good right away because he came in and he thought the game correctly. Like, he was up to speed. The game was not too fast for him. He processed everything, but there was no room for him to get smarter. Like, he already kind of had that. And the skill wasn't going to grow exponentially. You got a similar thing here with Wallstedt where he's going to get better. He's going to work on his mechanics, but like largely the big delta for a lot of these goalies is the learning curve and being able to ramp up on the IQ side. He's already got that, and we're seeing that falter. Like, I understand the context of where Pronman's coming and why he drops him so far down the list. I'm with you where, like, there's so many things that played against him this year that I'm not willing to just take this and like view it as gospel. But it warrants watching this season that if we continue to see a similar trend, okay, maybe we got to reevaluate, you know? Like, I get where he's coming from, and I think it's helpful context instead of just saying he had a bad year, now he's down at 8. You know, it is good to understand he's actually got like valid reasons for the fall, even if he's missing a little bit of context on his end.
Well, yeah, I mean, realistically too, if you read if people go read the article that he did and like read the little blurb on the specific ball, so that's where he lands too. Like, I mean, he finishes it off the last few sentences. Like, he literally says Wallstedt's never been known as the quickest player. So even if his reads are slightly off as they were this year, he could look like an ordinary goaltender prospect. I've seen him so good for so long that I still think he gets to the NHL, but he's going to have to rebound significantly, which is just true. Like, the one thing, again, like you said too, the goaltenders, they're just going to always be difficult for people like you and me who literally weren't goalies, who don't specifically.
I played goalie for 2 years. Important context.
But like, you can pick up on like styles basically and like what works. Like this year again, like even when he was healthy, you saw him like swimming in the crease, like on his back more than he ever has, getting beat from like he was just the things that you looked at like that's his calling card. That's why he is so good. Like, he just didn't have that this year. So when that goes, he's just going to look like a very average to below average goaltender. Again, that's when I also still think how much of that was just between the years. Like, you know what I mean? So I still believe in like him bouncing back. And again, like they're kind of just going to, they literally have to this year, just given the fact that he signed the one-way contract. So this will be like, this is going to be a big year as far like it just in terms of like the trajectory of his career. Not necessarily like, is he ever going to be a full-time NHL guy? To me, it's more so like, is it going to be in Minnesota? Yeah. Like that could be a real question. It's like, is he going to end up going out and like potentially just end up like, I don't know, being like a journeyman 1B, I don't know. But this is going to be obviously a huge year for him. So we'll see what happens, but I still believe in the kid.
For sure.
And it's also reasonable to have him lower than we've ever had him before as far as my rankings go.
Yeah, 8 was a little jarring to me, but like having him drop, very understandable, especially with the guys that have popped. But anyone else you want to point out in the top 10 specifically that dropped further than you maybe expected, or guys we want to talk about more from the negative lens before we talk about some of the guys that have surprised us positively?
No, I mean, not really, honestly. Like, no one really, again, the one guy that dropped a lot that I was noticeable, but again, like I think we both agreed with was Wallstedt. So, but yeah.
Okay, well, I gotta imagine I know the answer here, but who is the most positive surprise, or at least most positive riser, whether it's a surprise or not?
I mean, I didn't expect Justin Kipke to be in the top 10. He's a
that was not. I didn't expect you to have that be your answer. So there we are. We're both surprised.
I just didn't expect to see him in the top 10 again. Like, he's a what?
I was a little surprised by that too.
Double overager, taken 141st overall this past year. You know, having him in your top 10 over guys like Bankier, Heidt, KVRU, Lorenz, like all those guys.
Very funny side note. Under his has a chance to play, he lists individual players without really having much context, but it's the player and their position. But the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys were all centers and defensemen. And my brain immediately read it as that's the grade he's giving.
Oh, yeah.
C, D, C, D, C. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is bullshit. And then I got to the next one, Rieger Lorenz, LW. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm an idiot.
Okay, right, yeah, okay. Whoops.
I'm ready to get all upset.
No, I did the same thing.
God, I'm dumb.
I did the same thing. Like, it's like Hunter Heidt has one of the very few really good seasons in Iowa. It's like, yeah, that guy sucks. C for him, C prospect probably. No, but Justin Kipke again. Like, I was just surprised to see him in that top 10. Just given the fact that they just drafted him again, double overager, but since his like actual draft year, he's just been incredible at the WHL. So he's just on a crazy trajectory. And just given the fact that he's as old as he is, like naturally he's going to be closer than a lot of other players. Like it's funny just to think that like he's actually older than someone like
dude, he's a week older than Kumpalainen.
Yeah, Kumpalainen, like who got drafted 2 years ago. So it's just like it's a crazy thing or whatever. But as far as just like the compete goes, his ability and just like the way that he plays, it's a pretty like translatable approach, and just like given the trajectory he's on, it's not surprising to see. Like I know when he got drafted, it was like that's a good pick, even if like it's a double overager. Like plenty of guys have been watching him for 4 or 5 years. It's like he's on the right path. The trajectory is good, and like what he's doing in the WHL right now, like he looks outstanding and like a potential future like 5-6 in the NHL. So he's got the size. He can move okay. But he competes super hard and he's a smart player. So, I just wasn't expecting to see him in that top 10 over again, guys that we've talked about for the past 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah. Now, safe to assume that his top 3 is on par with what you would have said: Buium, Yurov, Ogren, right?
Yep. I did before we even do the Stramel thing. This is going to be a weird positive. I was actually pleasantly surprised to see Lambo slot in at 6 because again, we talked about how fucking brutal it was to be a young defenseman in Iowa this past year. Carson Lambo's like, again, the point totals aren't jumping off the page, obviously, as far as just like when he got drafted, like the highlight tape was him just like the offensive upside and everything. But he played a ton of minutes. He played hard fucking minutes and he looked really good. And like, there was a reason that he was one of the few defensemen that actually got called up. He didn't play, obviously, when he got called up this past year, but it was a reflection on like how good he was considering the situation that he was in. I mean, fuck, I think he finished with a positive plus minus, which on that team is legitimately impressive. You're playing like 25 minutes. It's like, yeah, give him the Norris, actually, this year. 0 games played, Norris Trophy. But he played a ton of minutes in his second full year. He's such a fucking good skater. He defends really well. He's got the size. He plays hard. So I love Carson Lambo, still do. Different type of player than the player that like the Wild drafted. He's a lot different than he was then. But like it was notable the year after. Yeah, the fact that he's now looked at as like a defensive defenseman, despite the fact that like. Again, when they drafted him out of Winnipeg, like the highlight tape was him just going nuts. And again, this was a kid that was a projected top 5, 6 before he had the whatever injury, the whatever health issue it was during COVID. Like he got fucked over with COVID and whatever the weird. I think it was like a heart problem that he has never actually come out and said what it was specifically. But he missed a ton of time and like only didn't really pop when he did go over to Finland. We could finally play again. And then obviously ends up getting 26 in 2021. I think he was 26 overall.
Yes,
but the fact that he's shown the fact that he's doing it in Iowa, just looks like a completely different player than when they drafted it, and looks good. Like it's such a positive. So I was actually surprised and happy to see that he maintained his spot in that top 10 because just given how many guys they've drafted over the past 4 years. and just the fact that he's playing in Iowa, not putting up like crazy points. Like it would have been understandable if a lot of people were like, "Yeah, I'm kind of sour on Lambos," but again, just a really impressive year given the situation. I was happy to see him maintain his spot like in that top 10, and even just like at 6, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and I just dropped the link into the chat as well, but Lambos was an awesome interview. Like just a good kid, even when he's like he was going through the shit for sure. We had him on, and he's still like just a very like goofy, laid back kind of kid. And curious because Mateo threw this up, and I know you were kind of in the middle of your whole spiel on him. Do you think there's a chance that he's in the opening night lineup?
It's possible, just given the situation with like Brody and everything. The fact that, I mean, I just have a nagging suspicion that they end up signing Jack Johnson out of that PTO because we know how comfortable they are not with like
5 years.
You know what? The beginning of the first however many games of the season is obviously they're going to look at that differently than they would have in the playoffs with a kid like Buium or whatever the past few years. Like they're just like unwillingness to play the real young guys or the rookies. I have I think it was Russo was doing I think he put up an article, maybe it was Joe, one of them, like either today or yesterday or something. They sound like they're not like, again, we'll see what they actually do, but even just it sounds different the way that they're talking about a potential lineup with a lot of young defensemen in it. They sound significantly more comfortable than they ever have before. So I wouldn't be shocked if Lambos was in the lineup opening night, just given the situation that they're in. Is it likely? Probably not.
Okay, so less likely.
I don't think it's unreasonable to think it could happen, though.
Yeah.
I would like to see it, by the way. I would love to see it.
Curious your thoughts then, because you and I have both been on the Charlie Stramel train. We also watched him live at Mariucci do his thing, and he looked great. Were you as surprised as me that he was slotted ahead of David Jiricek?
Yes and no, actually. Because if you just compare the last 12 months of hockey, it's like not even close. If you look at their overall pedigree long term, then yeah, it's like holy shit.
Well, that's more my point, because like we talk about all of these guys and sample sizes, right? Again, I am a Charlie Stramel believer. I'm not trying to argue against myself, but it's also one fucking year, right?
Yeah, so I think the long term. That's where actually, again, like I think the long term analysis comes in. It's like, when did everything go to shit for Stramel? Wisconsin. Like when he was in the worst possible environment, he looked like dog shit, and everything went horribly wrong. First time he goes back to a good situation, immediately pops, looks like the player in his draft -1 year. So it's like, again, like I think we just saw closer to the real Charlie Stramel this year because it's the first time he's ever been in the right kind of environment, leveraged in high situations, and actually like leaned on heavily for 3 years. So like, again, people need to remember, like before he went to Wisconsin, Stramel was a top 10, top 15 consensus looking prospect. And obviously, again, the thing with jiricek though, top 5. Like, so that's where it comes. It's like, holy shit.
I do get it. It's more just, again, it's one good year being in a good situation. Yeah. I almost feel like this would have been far more warranted after his senior year with Michigan State. Again, I'm not knocking the pick. It's more like, are we overvaluing 1 year to say Stramel's better than Jiricek, right? Because Jiricek, we've got the track record, and like this year, again, injury. He had his whole bullshit with the Columbus Blue Jackets. He comes to Minnesota at like the worst possible time with the logjam on the blue line. It just feels like that was the one spot that, like, I'm being super nitpicky here for sure, because who cares 4 versus 5, but I still view Jiricek as a higher potential prospect than Stramel.
Yep, maybe. The thing, like, I think the positionally, it's just so fucking hard too. That's the other thing. Like, it's so fucking hard to be a top 4D in the NHL. Like, it's also like different. It's different too. Where like realistically, I mean, this is the first time I think we've had anyone come out and be like, "Hey, it looks like a potential like middle six guy." Which I don't know why we keep, like you and I.
You can't just like lightly glance past that. Pronman firmly stated in the podcast that Charlie Stramel is a guy he views as a middle six player in the NHL. Not bottom six, not fourth line, not third line, middle six. And that was the record scratch moment for me where I was like, I listen to podcasts pretty nonstop because I like my ADD brain. Like I need to have something going on to like keep me like loosely within the rails. And I'm like 70% paying attention usually. And there's always like one or two moments in whatever I'm listening to that have me stop and be like, I need to rewind like a minute or two and make sure I've got all the context here. He sure as shit labeled Charlie Stramel with zero hesitation as a middle six NHL player. What say you to that?
I think when people say that though, it's a pretty clear, it's like he means third line. And I just read the write-up in the article too. It's
but
like,
that's still different than bottom six. You know what I mean?
I know.
Like,
yeah.
It just tells you this isn't a guy that like, hey, maybe he becomes a third line center. It's like he's sure as shit a third line center in the NHL, which there's still way more to play out. Like, but that's a huge improvement on his trajectory. Whereas a year ago we were like, he'll be a sick fourth line center, maybe a third line center. Now it's like he's third line center.
Yeah. I mean, like just like the way that he plays, the fact that he's the size that he's at, that he skates as well as he skates, he gives you 2A value, he can give you secondary offense. And he just plays such an NHL style. And like, again, the thing with him too, like this year, we saw him rein in big time, like the stupid shit that he was doing. Like when he was just like, you know what? I'm playing 4 minutes a night, 3.5 minutes in, I'm decapitating everyone in my sight. And I will get thrown out and suspended every fucking game. Fuck you, Mike Hastings. Like it's we saw him rein in like the dumb shit he was doing. But yeah, like when he was at his best, I mean, again, this is like at this point we said like take Wisconsin off his resume. Like it is funny. I was like, it not for 5 minutes did that go well. Like it was unbelievably bad from day one until he left. But again, this is always a guy that's like, is he a top six guy? No. But does he have like decent enough offense? He's got really good hands. Like he skates really well. He's big and he's super fucking physical and mean. And he's a big guy that knows how to use that size too. He's not just big and using it to like dominate offensively. It's like, no, he's like, he loves to play through contact and he showed that he does have the good hands and he's really smart. As far as just like the game goes, but, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that like he finally is in the right place. He pops on one of the best teams in college hockey, playing against guys that are 23, 24, 25 years old. And he looked like he stood out pretty much every game. And he was also, I mean, he was their go-to number one center. So it doesn't surprise me.
That is partially though where I'll caveat, like I do want to see this season now.
Yeah.
Do it again, but not only that. Do it again without Ike Howard. And yeah, there's plenty of talented kids at Michigan State. He's going to have no shortage of skilled guys to play with, but he's got to drive a little bit more. Whereas Ike Howard was doing the heavy lifting and Charlie's like, yeah, I'm just going to run around and kill people. And I'm here to bury whatever you need me to. But like, he didn't need to carry the load. There was a lot less pressure there. Now he's got to lead and he's got to kind of drive a line a little bit more. Not necessarily driving it like he's got to put up all the points, but like there's going to be a little bit more heavy lifting there.
Yeah. I mean, I probably like, and I know what you're saying. I'd probably add in though, like he did do a lot of little things too, like just like play in the neutral zone, even just like defensively, like stick positioning, like knocking pucks loose and like, there was a lot that he did that doesn't end up with a score sheet that puts guys like Howard in a really good position to like put up points or whatever. Like really fucking good at the face-off dot too this year. Like I think he ended up like 58, 59, 60%. So like he just did a lot of things. Like we talked about like him being like a smart hockey player too. And like that is another thing that he's always just had going for him. Like just the understanding of the game. and everything that makes him valuable as well. So there was a lot of, like, again, he still put up really good points, almost a point per game this year. But he also did a lot of little things that were super beneficial, obviously, for guys like Howard.
And I guess for me, it's partially to say, not that he didn't do those things. To your point, it gets ignored and brushed under the rug when it's Howard. If we see him doing those same things and it's setting those other guys up for success, now you got a little bit more of a proof of concept. And it's like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna stand out more, not only to prove to people that's what he is, but it's also like, again, everything went right for him. He's basically the opposite of Jesper Wallstedt, right? Things couldn't have worked out better for him. He was a big part of that, but let's see him take another step, or at least maintain what he did last year while losing the best player in college hockey.
Right. Yeah, I think too, even just like adding on to that too, he's never going to be someone that drives a line, but he is a key fucking component to that line. Again, just like the little things that he does. So I think that's more so, because again, like if he puts up, even if he drops off a little bit points wise or whatever, wouldn't shock me. But like if he's doing the same thing and he is playing those minutes, he's being utilized PK, power play, like pretty much a go-to guy in any situation. Like it's the same. And Michigan State is as good as they were last year, which I am very confident that they might even be. If you just look at the guys they have coming in, they might be fucking better than they were last year.
It's insane, man.
It's unbelievable. They're so fucking. They're the best team in college hockey on paper for me. Like
that's it for me too, man.
Fucking unbelievable. That team's gonna be so nasty. But again, like I just don't like. He's never gonna be someone who's gonna be driving a line offensively, anyways. But like, I just need to see him pretty much like do what he did as far as like the little things. And again, if you playing 20, 23 minutes a night, like it's all you can really ask for. But it's just again, there were very few prospects that needed a year like that. Very few more so than Stramel needed it. Like it was. Imagine how happy that kid was every fucking day this season. Just like, thank fucking God. The shit he was dealing with in Wisconsin since like his draft season. Because it's crazy that it was like in his draft year that it started going to shit. Like that sucks.
For sure.
That's the worst fucking feeling in the world.
Yeah. And I do have to, it's rare that I call out our boy Cole, but Mateo, throw that one back up. He says Stramel did fail at his recruitment role. Couldn't drive Howard here. I'm going to argue wholeheartedly with this because does anyone know off the top of their head the height measurement for Isaac Howard?
Yeah, it's good.
He's 5'10".
It's a great point.
There's nothing in the world that Charlie Stramel could do to get Bill Guerin to bring that kid here for any reasonable asset. So I'm giving Charlie the pass on that one.
Yeah, fair enough, dude. But shout out Charlie Stramel. Love the player. Good to see him, obviously, in a good situation. And again, the right decision to go back and ride the positive vibes again this year instead of like making a jump to the AHL.
Schmitty to go. Who does Guerin like more, Rossi or Stramel? He wishes that they were just merged into one human.
Maybe that's the plan.
That's his wet dream.
Surgically combine.
Is that the mega person?
They, like in Kicking and Scream. They're gonna form a mega man.
I think it could happen. The other guy that I have to ask about on here, because every time I see a list, whether it's like internally for our group, whether it's people like Pronman and Wheeler, whether it's just random people throwing out their thoughts online, the one that I feel has like the biggest variation across all of them is Ryder Ritchie. He always exists, but how high, how low? 7 just feels like the perfect like middle gap. Like, yep, we're just gonna throw him there. What do you feel about Ryder Ritchie within this prospect pool? Like, is that the correct slotting for him, or like where do you place him in your mind?
Yeah, I mean that again, like you said, 7 is just like that's probably just feels about right. Is he a top 5 guy? No. Is he like ridiculously talented and a really exciting prospect that belongs in your top 10? Yep. It's like it is weird. It's like no, I don't think I'll ever be like, yeah, easily a top 5 prospect of this pool. but then also like maybe like just outside it though, but definitively not at the top 5. But I mean, again, I think people were probably hoping that the point total would like jump off the page. There were a lot of factors that went into it, but he still looked really good. Again, he also ended up like once he got healthy from literally like cutting his face open, and started playing with guys like McKenna, and the rest of just a ridiculous Medicine Hat team. I mean, he was right at a point or over a point per game. Like, I think he went maybe once he came back from taking the skate to the face. I think he probably had 6-7 games where he didn't at least register 1 point. So he's like got insane puck skills. He's got a good shot. Again, that's just like that dual threat offensively. He can make plays and he can score himself. The caveat's always going to be like he's a 5'10", 5'11", like light winger. But I mean, he plays with that nastiness. He plays with an edge that like the size isn't going to be a big problem for him. It's just, again, it's like it's a super skilled scoring winger. Like it's always tough to figure out exactly where they're going to slot as far as like their future goes in the NHL. Like the guys in the wing, it's the one position where it's like, yeah, there's a million. It's never like that premium draft, like the prospect, like it's never like that premium position, whatever. Like if you can strike gold with goaltenders, defensemen, and centers, you're like very happy. Like it's like wing will figure it out later. Like whatever. Like it's just like how wings have always been looked at. Ryder Ritchie's just like a special case where it's like he's just got the insane talent, and he's just a really fucking good hockey player. But it's a winger, so there's always gonna be questions. When you look at like the prospect pool in the future of Minnesota next 5, 6, 7 years, it's always going to be tough to figure out, all right, which wingers are actually being your top 6. He's a guy that I don't see, like, you're not going to ever see him on like a fourth line. That's the thing with him too. That's what actually makes it really fucking hard to evaluate.
We thought that about Liam Ogren too, and then here we are.
They were like immediately fourth line, actually. Only fourth line.
Exclusively.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but that feels right though.
Yeah. Other guy that we got to touch on quick before the, more or less honorable mention group. We don't have to go into too much depth, but I want to know Rasmus Kumpalainen basically being pegged by Pronman here as being a fourth liner.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like purely just like this is a bad year, he made a bad choice to go back and play overseas, or has something of substance changed here with him as a prospect? Like, do you believe he's not what you thought he was when they drafted him?
No, he's pretty much the same guy I thought he was. Like, he projects as like a third, fourth line center. Like, the thing with him is the skating is just complete dog shit, and it's not going to get better. Like, it's just, he's never going to be fast.
Who's a worse skater, him or Jiricek?
Oh my God, Kumpalainen. It's not even close. Like, it's crazy. Like, he moves 8 miles an hour. But again, the transition data is legitimately comical. Like, it's like 98 percentile as far as like his ability to get the puck and not lose it and like drop transition. But he's got size, obviously, and he is like just slow, but like the skill as far as his hands and like how good he is in and around the net is legitimately absurd. The jump from the OHL to Finnish Liga, it's like two different sports. Like, Finnish Liga is a unique league where it is like a lot of players like Rasmus Kumpalainen, where it's like it's not going to be the fastest league in the world. It's a bunch of big boys. It's pretty physical. That's the thing with him too. He can play physical. He uses his size well too. It's a fucking hard league to play in. It feels like the rink's tiny. And it's just like not the flashiest, most skilled or exciting hockey in the world. It's very like mechanics based almost.
Remind me, because again, he went back to Finland and I basically tuned out on him. Is he the one that you compared to Jagr? Just like straight up like hip out, puck protect, like just cruise around and like wait?
Oh, I don't know if I did, maybe though, but it's kind of
basically like he's physical. Like, it's not like anywhere near the same skill, but it's more just like, yeah, like I'm bigger than you. Maybe I can't move very fast, but good luck taking the puck away.
You're not going to get the puck from it. Yeah, pretty much. It's like him like going up and down the ice. Yeah, but like he does have like an insane hand. Like the hands are like it's like he is one of the more skilled players in this pool. Again, like with him, the skating is going to be a roadblock. Like it as far as him being an NHL guy that like
good luck, Andy.
Regular minutes or regular NHLer night in, night out, like third, fourth line, it's going to be tough. I think he does do it. because he's super smart. Again, he's a really good two-way, like he kills penalties, and he's a smart hockey player, and he does have like the skill with the hands, and he's a really good in and around the net, and he's strong and he uses his size well. Like he's just going to probably, you feel very comfortable projecting him as like a future NHL player. The skating is just going to be a big problem for him. So, and I mean, it didn't help that he went to Finland and played on one of the worst fucking teams in Finland. Like they barely escaped relegation. And actually in the series that they were fighting relegation, like he put up points. He had points in his first 3 or 4 games. Like I think his first game he had 3 actually. And then that team was just brutal for the entire season. And then in big games where they were fighting relegation, he did score some goals, put up some assists. But he played regular minutes, looked pretty good, looked comfortable on a bad team given the situation. So it was always going to be tough going from OHL to Finnish Liga. So we'll see what this year brings. I don't really expect a whole lot more from Pelicans in general, but I mean, I still think he projects as like a bottom. He's like, we talked about Stramel, like middle 6. Like Kuban's like, bottom 6.
Yeah. All right. Very fair. So then we move on to the has a chance to play, and I'll read off all of the names here, but as I do so, I want you to come up with the guys that you feel most warranted consideration for the top 10 and just the guys that you feel we need to discuss because they've either risen or fallen notably. So in order, and these are not grades, these are positions. I won't even say it because you guys, no, I got to say it in case people don't know or they're new. In order, we have Caden Bankier, C. Hunter Heidt, C. Theodore Hallquist. Is it Quist? D. Riley Heidt, C. Aaron Kiviharju, D. Carter Klippenstein, C. And again, up until this point, I'm like, holy shit. Like, I'm a little confused about some of these grades. Next up, Rieger Lorenz, LW. I'm like, I'm a moron. All right, move on. Yeah. And last guy on the list, David Spacek, D. Michael Russo actually slipped him a 20 and said, please make sure he's on your list.
Spacek had a good. He had a good. I've been shitting on this like forever, like on accident, to be honest with you. But like, it's just whatever comes up.
So how do we feel? Like, who for you? Because obviously Pronman's putting them in his order. Who do you think are the top 1 or 2 guys from that list?
I mean, probably a guy that I was borderline shocked didn't end up in the top 10 was
Say the right answer.
Hunter Heidt and Riley Heidt, honestly.
Okay, Height's the one that I'm more upset about.
Heidt did at the same time. I was like, I guess I get it because if you just look at the production last year, I guess 2 years ago versus last year,
the rule change was a year late. Just say it.
Yeah. Also, like, it was always going to be borderline impossible for him to like replicate exactly what he did in his draft year on this Prince George team.
Right. He needed to be able to play in the NCAA. He should have been a gopher last year.
Yeah, he should have been a gopher. But I mean, I was surprised not to see him, but I was actually more shocked that Heidt didn't end up in that top 10 than Heidt. Because again, there are very few players on that Iowa Wild team that you come away with like pretty much exclusively positive things to say about their season. Hunter Heidt was absolutely one of them. I was honestly shocked that he's stuck at center the whole year. Because if you just look at the player profile, it's like, what are the things that are going to get him to the NHL? It's the skill, it's the offense, and like the scoring. And he's 5'10". Like, so that's just like a lot of times.
Here's 5'11".
But how comfortable he was in the middle of the ice, making plays, driving his line, like playing a lot with guys like Mikey Millen and really popping. Like, he looked so good night in, night out, and on a fucking horrible Iowa Wild team. I think he finished with like just over half a point per game, which is like really fucking good. As far as just like making that jump from Saginaw to a really bad AHL team and how comfortable he looked and how he just like looked like a center. Again, in the NHL, he still might end up being a winger. Like, it might just be a numbers game as far as like who's already here.
Well, I'm curious though. Was it also a reverse numbers game in Iowa? Like, yeah, you're the only guy that's going. We need to throw you at center. Like, center or a wing in your mind? Like, where should he be?
Yeah, I think NHL, I would be. I mean, he.
Like, forget the roster. Like, I don't care where he fits for the Wild. Like, just his skill set, the way he plays and fits. Does he make more sense as a center or wing?
I mean, just looking at him, the way that he played this year, he looks like a center. But
all right.
it would just surprise. It still would surprise me because he's a 5'10", 160-pound kid. Like,
okay.
I think
he's got him. Hang on.
He bulked up last year. He's 180.
5'11", 181 is what I see here from Pronman. And Pronman is not going to give him extra inches. That's for sure.
It's not going to skimp on pickles. That's for sure.
All right, fair.
No, but again, like I thought Hunter Heidt was really fucking good this year. One of the few success stories out of Iowa. Was very surprised to see him outside of the top 10. And like category again, like especially when you factor in the like that this is like the has a chance to play games category. Like he just looks like a guy that's going to play. So I was surprised. But yeah, the Heidt and height combo specifically stood out. And then like also just like a notable omission from this, like the honorable mention / has a chance to play list. Adam Banach to me was shocking. When you put like Kipke in your top 10, and then I was as happy as I was to see Klippenstein there. But like Banach's track record as far as like where he's played, how good he's been in like internationally too.
But how tall is Klippenstein?
Yeah, he's 6'3", so there you go.
Okay, so that's the end of the conversation. It's Pronman.
It's actually less.
He knows it's less that.
Team. It's less that more the Banach 5 foot like 1.
Right.
yeah, that's more so the big thing. Because as far as like skill,
the amount
ability,
of people
talent,
on draft night that were like actually concerned when I made the post, like, oh, yep, or not draft night, but like draft day on Saturday when he got picked, and I was like. And Bill Guerin was not aware that he was this tall. They're like, holy shit. Like, is that true?
Oh my God. What an idiot. Fire Guerin. Like, oh, Jesus Christ, guys. But no, Banach was definitely a huge notable omission, I thought, from the has a chance to play games category. When you factor in Kipke getting top 10, Klippenstein making this list.